Hey, what's up YouTube? It's been a little bit since my last video, but here we are. This time I am reviewing The Hunger Games Catching Fire. Was released last Friday. I saw it on Thursday at an early, night before screening. And I'd have to say overall it is a very solid movie. You can clearly tell that after the success of the first movie that the budget was increased. I'm not sure specifically how much the budget went up, but you can tell in just everything, in the sets, in the CGI, in all of that. It just looks a lot more crisp, so a lot more money went into it. Just one example I can think of, money related, is Jennifer Lawrence, the star as Katniss, made $500,000 for the first Hunger Games movie. For this movie, she made $10 million. So that's a pretty good raise for playing the same character you already played. So let's get into characters. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence, Katniss Everdeen, the It Girl of Hollywood. Very good, very obviously just a continuation of her character from the first film. She plays it well. I have no arguments. Very similar to the book, and I can't complain about her performance at all. I think all of the praise and everything that she gets as an actress is well deserved, because I get to see a bad performance from her in anything, which I guess is why she won an Oscar last year at the age of 22. Also, the other main character is Josh Hutcherson as Peeta Mellark. It's kind of funny. It seems like they don't really know what to do with Peeta, because he's just, even though he's another main character, he's just not as interesting as Katniss. Even though he's supposed to be strong and this leader, and he's well spoken, that he should in essence be dead in this movie. Spoiler alert for the first one. But Katniss saved his life, and I just don't buy Josh Hutcherson as Peeta. I envisioned him in the first movie. This is crossing the two movies. I envisioned him in the book as being a much more imposing looking guy. Maybe not, because Josh Hutcherson is a short dude. But I mean, even if he was a short guy, he just doesn't look very imposing at all. But what can you do? He was cast. He does well in the parts where he just has to be a good speaker, and he does good as this leader type person. But when it comes down to the action stuff, he's very lacking, in my opinion. Someone else that they keep marketing this movie with, which still boggles my mind, is Liam Hemsworth as Gale. The fuck is this guy doing? Why? On all the posters, all the interviews, it's Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, and Liam Hemsworth. I mean, I don't understand. He had 2 minutes of fucking screen time in the first movie, which he left no impression whatsoever. In this one, his role was expanded. He's got maybe 8 minutes of screen time in it, and all he does is get beaten during most of it, or whine like a bitch. And all of that you can see in the trailer. So you want to see Liam Hemsworth's performance in this film? Watch the fucking trailer. It's ridiculous. He's just famous because of his brother and because he used to bang Miley Cyrus. That's it. I just don't understand. I understand Gale's important to the story in the books, but he just brings nothing to the table. You can have a fucking puppet up there, a stand-in, a cardboard cutout, and they would give the same performance that he gives. Sorry. All right. he just aggravates me to death. I just don't get it why they market this film the way that they do with him. On a side note, some of the smaller characters that were in the first film also brought back. Woody Harrelson as Haymitch, Elizabeth Banks as Effie are fantastic, just like they were in the first one. Anytime you have a movie where you can surround the younger, more inexperienced actors with fantastic characters, character actors, these guys that have been around for a long time, they've done a lot in the industry, and they're recognizable, it really helps the shortcomings. A lot of the scenes where, once again, I keep going back to Josh Hutcherson, sometimes I don't think he's up to some of the things that he has to do in the movie. The other characters kind of help round up the action. They help kind of steer things in the right direction, if that makes any sense whatsoever. If not, I'm just crazy. Two new additions to this, two major characters, are Finnick Odair, who is played by Sam Claflin, whatever, and Joanna Mason, played by Jenna Malone. When I first heard these castings, I was indifferent. Sam Claflin, I'm not that familiar with. He did something last year that really left no impression on me whatsoever. And Finnick is a very interesting character in the novel because he is this big, muscular hero and he's everyone's favorite person, but he really has a lot of emotional depth that is covered greatly in the book, and I wasn't sure if he would be able to pull that off on screen. And after seeing it, I still don't, he just can't pull it off. Other than that, then you've got Jenna Malone as Joanna Mason, and I'm already going to say that I am a Jenna Malone fanboy. I love everything she does. She hasn't really done too much the last couple of years. I know she focused on theater and some other things like that. But she's a freaking revelation as Joanna Mason. I didn't see her in the role in my mind, but when I saw her on screen, it was exactly what I expected and more. Jenna Malone is very good at what she does, and it also helps that Joanna Mason is one of my favorite characters, probably my favorite character in the book. She just has a no-nonsense attitude. She doesn't care who she offends, she doesn't care what she does. She is who she is, and I just love that character, and her performance alone, on top of all this other stuff, is worthy of seeing this film. Just go for her. She's that freaking good. She's not in it all that much, but her performance is awesome. Some other side characters that they brought in, really good actors, are Jeffrey Wright, the great Jeffrey Wright, as Beatty, and Amanda Plummer as Wiress, which another casting thing that I just wasn't sure about, but on the screen they're perfect. They are everything I imagined in the roles. I don't know who the casting director for this film was, but they need a fucking raise because this shit is unbelievable. Alright, so I just wiped out casting. That took really long. But yeah, I really have no negatives for this movie besides the waste that is Gale. I mean, the action sequences are good. People might not know what to expect from this movie because a lot of it's not like the first one. There is, fighting and all that sort of stuff, but that's only maybe a third of the film. The other stuff is everything leading up to it, the uprising, there's riots, there's all sorts of unrest. And if you're not ready for that, you might not know what you're getting into with this film. Because while similar, there is a very different feel to it. It's just, it's hard to describe. It's like two different things. It's like, okay, here is all this civil unrest and this uprising, but then there's fighting to the death again. It's two things, but they do work together. They do a good job of melding, mixing the two narratives together, and it does work. So the story's different, but it's good. The acting is great. The casting is fantastic. The story is interesting. It's not like a normal film from a trilogy, or in this case they're making it 4 movies, because Mockingjay somehow is going to be 2 fucking movies. I don't know how, because it was the shortest and least interesting book of the 3. But I digress. Normally sequels are, especially when there is a 3rd movie, the 2nd movie is usually just filler. It's usually just a transition to the final movie, whereas this movie could really stand alone on its own. I mean, if you hadn't seen the first movie, which I would still say see it if you haven't before you see this one, but if you haven't, you still won't be completely lost. And I think that is the sign of a good film. And last note, it was directed by Francis Lawrence, who hasn't really done any movies before this that I was interested in whatsoever, that I thought was any good. I Am Legend, I hated. Constantine, which was fun, but kind of a throwaway film. I mean, how many times can you have Keanu Reeves say whoa, and you have Gavin Rossdale as your fucking villain? And of course you have Shia LaBeouf in there just wasting space. So before I keep getting on these different tangents and whatever, see this movie. I mean, it's going to be out for a while. It's raking in the dough. There are a million screenings of it anywhere you want to go. You can see it now, you can see it later. It's going to be out there to see. And yeah, see it. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, this would be an 8.5. It loses a half a point because I hate Liam Hemsworth. Alright, that's it for now. Peace.